And we are live. Welcome back to the 8th installment of the Finish Line Formula podcast, where we give you the ingredients to not only get you to the start line, but also to the finish, because we all love finishing. Anyway, we're here with one
Sean.
other Noosa Marathon boys. We're missing two. We'll get into what that reasons why shortly, but let's roll the intro.
And we are back. Welcome to the 8th episode of the Finish Line Formula podcast. As Nick already mentioned, we are missing two, so there's only one who can be doing the second part of the intro, and that is me, Sean. Welcome to the show.
I was going to say, I have a feeling this might be our best episode yet. Nah, we're missing the boys. We'll get into the announcements. Week 7 almost done. We're wrapping that up tomorrow with our Sunday long run. We'll get into what our weeks have looked like. Podcast availability as per usual: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast. We're getting them out there. Hopefully you liked the episode last week with Ed. We've got some more special guests coming up. It's obviously just a little hard trying to sort out individual schedules and getting people on, and whether we go to their house, et cetera, but that's the I guess you could call it, that's the fun and games of starting a podcast, is teething through those issues. Anyway, Will and Cam are missing. Where are they, Sean? MIA.
Well, Will is setting sail across to New Zealand.
Yeah, New Zealand, off to the seventh wonder of the world, or whatever you call it. Australia part 2.
And Cam is living it up at Fred again. So keen to see how his long run goes after a nice rave on a Saturday afternoon.
Do you know what time it's finishing?
I don't know. I spoke to him on the phone, and he said he was thinking about leaving about 9 p.m. But being like, it is bloody hot today, so being out in the heat is not going to be good fun.
Yeah,
but the concert will be good.
He can tell us all about it next week in the episode. Anyway, we wish him luck. We wish him luck on his long run tomorrow and the upcoming week. And the same to Will. He's got to do all his runs on a boat, whether that's on the treadmill. It looks like they've got good techno gym treadmills, which are I think the A standard, or he's got to run on this track, a 250 meter track up around the deck. So that would be interesting to watch.
I don't know if I could do the track. I feel like 250 meters. I mean, if tomorrow's run's 29K, so that's what, like 100 and something laps.
Yeah. I could do 400 meter. I don't know if Will's going to pull it out of the bag. Maybe we'll see. We'll check his Strava after. The other final announcement is I've started a run club in the location near me, which is Parramatta. You can check out the Instagram Bark Run Club. If you want an invite, jump on the Instagram page, because we're slowly filtering through members, and we're only week 2, but we're trying to grow the thing, and we're trying to filter through some people. So we've got a good crew starting at 6:30 on Saturday mornings, nice and easy. And then we finish it. The standard thing you do when you have a run club is you finish at the local coffee shop for some pastries and caffeine. Anyway, my name's Nick. Do you want to introduce yourself again?
Well, for those who weren't paying attention at the start, my name is Sean. And do you want me to get straight into how our
go
training
ahead.
went? All righty. So finished off last Sunday, with a 19 Ks, which capped off the recovery week nicely. I think it was 59 Ks. And then this week we have just been building back up to what will be a total of 80 Ks. And I have to say, after the recovery week, I'm actually feeling pretty darn good this week.
Sean's back on. We're on.
We're back. We are absolutely loving it.
I was about to, keep going. We'll get through it all.
Well, yeah, so Monday we had let me just check, 16 Ks with 8 Ks at the half marathon pace, which I was able to, Tuesday, sorry. 16 Ks with 8 Ks at half marathon pace, was able to float nicely around the goal pace. Nice. Wednesday, easy recovery, 6 Ks. Thursday, nice long 18 Ks, which for me was an absolute stinking hot day. And then maybe 5 minutes prior to filming this, did a nice aerobic 11 Ks. And tomorrow will be my longest run ever of 29.
Huge. And I think you go from that down week into a massive week, and it's the same for me. So I had 24 Ks last week to cap off the recovery week. Monday was rest day, so obviously I did a bit of cross training. I think I jumped on the bike. Yeah, I did. I jumped on the bike in the afternoon. Tuesday was 16 Ks with 8 kilometers at half marathon pace or less. Really happy with how that one went. Wednesday morning was 23 kilometers. Thursday was, I believe, 13. Yeah, I changed around the plans. Thursday was 13. Friday was 16 Ks. This morning was about, I'm going to say 7 and a bit. It was meant to be 8, including strides. And then tomorrow we've got the biggest one of the block so far, which is 34 kilometers.
Yeesh.
So I'm carb loading at the moment. Hopefully Sean is as well.
Yes. I'm smashing a steak and potatoes straight after this. It's going to be good.
Get some white rice in you. These are the, I guess, for people out there who are listening, these are the races these are the runs where you actually want to not throw your diet aside, but these are the runs where you want to be putting a bit more carbs into you, because you'll go through them. The glycogen stores, you'll go through them all during the run. There was something I wanted to talk to you about, Sean. Where is it? Here? Highlight of the week. Oh.
In the meantime, I will say that after last week's potty, I went and gave Ed a follow on Strava. He didn't follow me back, unfortunately, but I genuinely cannot even comprehend how that man does his volume and his paces. I was watching some of his treadmill workouts, and I think I can't even comprehend running a 250 pace. It is crazy.
Yeah, he just cranks it up to the max speed and just sits at it. So, yeah, it's a bit hectic. I was going to ask, speaking of treadmills, you bought a treadmill. So, for the people out there, Sean's, to, I guess, get through the program, has gone ahead and bought himself a home treadmill. How's that going?
It's been good. I think I've found a good balance. So the goal is still, when I can, get outdoors and run outdoors. Like tomorrow morning, we're going to wake up nice and early. And I actually, slight tangent, I was thinking about investing into a running vest for the long runs, because you need hydration and fueling for the long runs. But Nick said instead, find yourself a little circuit and just pop some water bottles or some gels along the way. So that's what I'm doing tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you go.
Oh, okay. I'll jump in terms of talking about the vest. Look, you can wear a vest, but especially for marathon training, you don't want to be doing anything. Look, I'm not the type of person to tell someone to go do something, but I find that you want to train how you are going to run the marathon. And ideally, you're not going to run the marathon in a vest. You're going to have aid stations out there, or carry the stuff in a running belt, which saves weight. So I guess the weight thing in terms of...
I don't think it's worth the price either. Like, The vest I was looking at, even the small 5 liter ones, for a cheap one is like $220, which is basically a pair of easy run shoes. It's crazy.
Yeah, for like a thing that doesn't really work. So my recommendation is create like a 7-kilometer loop, 10-kilometer loop, 12-kilometer loop where you can carry enough fuel for that 12 kilometers, and then you leave the other bits and pieces you need on the car. Because I'll park the bike at wherever I run, and I'll leave the bottles out on the back and the gels, and then carry at least 2 gels at a time. And then you just, once you do one, you pick one up on the next lap, and there you've got your fuel sorted. And it helps you practice picking up bottles and taking fuel on without stopping. So like you would in a race. So that's my thoughts on there. That was an extra tip, because our next section is tip of the week, and I guess it ties into our, what do you call it? It ties into the topic we're going to be talking about, is how to get into running, and then building a training block off the back of that. So we've got two different perspectives here. We've got the newbie, who's Sean, and then we've got me, who's been coaching people previously in another life, and then obviously been running a bit, where I've been doing a bit of self-coaching as well. So the tip of the week is, when you get started, I think the best thing to do is put yourself out there. And what I mean by that is, put yourself out there, join a local run club. They're far and few between at the moment, and there's no shortage of them. So if you're struggling on where to start or who to start with, get a couple mates, put yourself out there, join a run club. Everyone's friendly. I've found at them. Some can be over friendly. Sean?
Yeah. I won't name names, but even if you don't do a run club, pretty much every corner of the planet there is a park run somewhere where you can go run 5Ks.
And that's usually like a Saturday morning, 7 a.m. And there'll be one within 5 kilometers of your location in most places of the world, like you're saying. And that, I think that's what actually, no. The point I thought you were going with that, is what Ed said last week. He was like, oh no, he was talking about how if you go to anywhere in the world and someone is a runner. He's like, oh, no, if you go to a party, you'll talk to people and there'll be runners. There'll be like 1 out of 10 would be a runner. But that was off topic. Anyway, let's get into today's topic, which is, as we've just discussed, is 1, how to get into running, and 2, how to build a training block. So I guess to start this conversation off, Sean, how did you get into running?
I got into running because your brother William asked me if I wanted to join him in running a marathon. Prior to that, I have dabbled in the thought of running, and did a couple of did one endurance challenge on the Gold Coast, which my team ended up winning. But pretty much other than that, my first time properly committing to any form of consistent running was 6 months ago, through Will.
And by the all sounds of things, you're really enjoying it as well. So
yeah.
I to the people out there.
It has surprised me with how much I've fallen in love with running, especially working up to these higher volume weeks. So for anyone out there, running is as addictive as they say it is.
All those endorphins running through your body.
And Nick, you've touched on it ever so slightly in a previous episode, but what made you get into running? And tell us a little bit about your past life in sports.
Yeah, I won't go into too much depth because we did that in episode 1, but a quick summary of my running was, I was running cross country, I remember, in year 3 and 4 at the little school comps. I was relatively good, didn't train at all. It would just be like you show up and run. That was back at...
Actually, no. Hazlitt represent, I'm pretty sure.
No, that's year 5 and 6.
But it was. Okay.
That was at
Never mind.
Arden.
Oh, yeah. You would have come in year
Year
6 or
5.
7. Yeah.
Year 5 and 6. Yeah, the Black
Okay.
House. The best house. Anyway, shout out to all you people. If you know what Hazlitt means, then I guess you know a bit more about me. Yeah, from there I did athletics all up until I guess halfway through year 7, and that's when I started diving. And that kind of, you can remove that 10-year chunk out of my running career and then insert me back at 22-ish. I don't know if I said this in the first episode, but I saw Conor McGregor run, and I searched this up on Google. I was like, oh, how fast do you reckon he could run a 5K? And someone said sub 20 minutes. So I started running 3 times a week, 5 kilometers. I don't think I got to sub 20 in that first 1 year. And then, yeah, I've just slowly, since 22 years old, I've slowly just run, been injured here and there. And then I guess over the last, what do we call it? 2 years, I've been injury free. Over 2 years, I've been injury free and killing it. So fingers crossed that stays the same and I can get through to Noosa in one piece.
Yeah, looks like the rest of the looks like all the boys are starting to pick up a few little ouchies here and there. I think I might have been lucky and just got it all out of the way at the beginning of the program.
Yeah, pre-block.
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken. Because that's probably ties to our next thing is, if you were to start again, how would you go about getting to running? Or I won't give you any assistance with answering the question, so just take it away.
The thing I definitely would have done would have been to start a lot slower and lower volume. For the pre-block, I did a couple of, I guess, runs to figure out where I was sitting pace and distance wise, and I was able to crank out about 6Ks, not easily, but I could do it. So I decided to start, maybe I think it was 5 weeks into the beginners program that Nick might talk about a little bit later. But as a result of that, I went from basically being a sedentary, lazy piece of shit for a couple of years to my first week, I think I did 25Ks in the week. And yeah, as a result of that, got a few injuries in the first 3 months. But yeah, 100% what I would have done is started way, way easier. Even though I would have felt like I could have done more, just getting that steady progression of volume would definitely make a huge difference.
Yeah, definitely. And that would be the same for me, because funny enough, I've been injury free for over 2 years now, but there was a point, time and place where I was over training and getting injured and going 2 steps, or what do you call it? 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And that's what happens anytime you get injured with running. And the one thing I think I've said is consistency is king with running. So the more consistent you can be, the less injuries you can avoid, the better you're going to be at running, and I guess prolong your time in the sport. So, as Sean said, starting slow, I would have done my program. I developed this program coming back from my injury. I had cortisone in my ankle in like June or July 2021 or 2021. Yeah, it would have been June, July 2021. And then I developed this program based on previous experience and I guess newfound experience and knowledge. And that got me to a 10K PB in what would have been 3 months, and then a marathon 8-9 months later. So, and then it's obviously spiraled out from there. So yeah, we'll talk about that a bit later, my program. But the other thing I'd suggest is getting into running is, I didn't do this until like 3 or 4 years into running, and that would be joining a run club or group, or find something local where there's a community that you can be a part of, because then it keeps you accountable. Sean and the Noosa Marathon boys have me and each other. But if you don't have something like that, joining a run club is a really good way to not only stay consistent, but also have those other people to keep you consistent with your training as well.
And on top of that, I think joining a run club is great from the social aspect, but as well, and I can only speak from what we've done, is I think it's worth starting out with setting setting a goal race or a goal distance that you want to do, because if you then go and join a rug club and you share with the community of people that you're running with what you want to achieve, they're going to support you through the entire way. And chances are there's also probably some experienced runners in the club who will be able to help you out a bit and progress you towards that.
Yeah, and that's a fantastic segue to what we're about to talk about, which is the second part. And I guess Sean might ask me questions, but it's going to be me talking about it and then Sean interjecting when he has a question, I guess, is how to build a training block. And what Sean said was pick a goal race. And and I guess this is 4 steps to building a training block. Is the first one is you want to establish a goal. And that can be a goal race where you go, I'm going to sign up to this marathon in 6 months' time, and then you've got your endpoint. And then in that time, you got to figure out what your block's going to look like, and then you can work back from there. The second thing is, let's say you have a 10K time, you can then go, I want to improve that time by X, and then you know what metrics you need to get to, and then you can build the training block based on that.
And I think with running as well, and I guess this speaks more to just human nature in general. I think especially running, takes a bit of time to really get the addiction out of it, because early stages of running kind of sucks. But if you set yourself a goal, you are kind of working to our natural instinct to want to progress in all aspects of life, and you actually get the tangible, you get to experience the journey of working towards a goal and seeing improvement, and being able to structure a training block in such a way that you get opportunities to see how far you've come from a fitness perspective, which is something that I've really enjoyed.
For sure. And we just had a bit of an intermission there. I think we had some technical difficulties, but we're back.
Some mechanical problems.
Definitely. We just don't want any of those mechanical problems during the race.
Yeah.
Anyway,
where were we?
Now, where were we? Up to the second point. So the second thing in this how to build a training block is you've got to ask yourself, what does your current training look like? And I've put a big note here, big asterisk. You need to be realistic. And this is more of a point for building your block, is you got to be realistic as well and have some flexibility, because that's extremely key on, I guess, getting you to that finish line. Because if you're unrealistic with your goals, and then you're also unflexible, one of the two.
Inflexible, I think.
Inflexible. It's going to come crumbling down before you even get to the start line. Anyway, the other thing is, have you run before? Because that obviously separates you. If you've never run before, you're going to be doing a different program to if you've been running before. And then the other thing is time availability. Because if you've got limited time, one, you've either got to prioritize running in place of other training, or you've got to make time to do the training.
And touching, I guess, going back to the first point, do you think it is worth, if you want to get back into running or just start, to just get out there and start running? Or do you think it's worth getting some kind of structure or some kind of program provided to you that takes into account all those things?
Look, I do think you have to go, how do I put this? I do recommend just starting with some structure. And that doesn't have to be anything out of the ordinary. I guess it's a good time to drop that I've got a program called, well, I haven't decided on the name, but it'll be a beginner to 10Ks. So it won't be a 10K race, but it's from you not running at all, and it'll take you up all the way up to running 10 kilometers at whatever pace you're at. And that's in 8 weeks. And that's what these guys have done, Noosa Marathon boys. That's what they did prior to starting the marathon block. They all got through it. They're onwards and upwards, and they're now 2 months away from an actual marathon. But I think the main thing is to take it a lot slower, as you said, Sean. Take it a lot slower.
But it is, I mean, with your program, we went from, as I said before, having something structured that took me from barely being able to run 6 kilometers and thinking that was a long run to now pumping 80, maxing out at 88 kilometer weeks with a 32K run. And even today, seeing 11Ks programmed and thinking that is a nice, easy, quick run. It's like it's pretty amazing how quickly it progresses. And I think if I were to have tried to get into running and work towards a marathon by myself without a program, it would be nowhere near this established.
Yeah, well, touching on that, I actually take that back. I actually do think you need structure starting out, whether you're starting from zero, never run before. I do think you need structure, because even if your goal is just general aerobic fitness, the structure is going to give you that consistency, which is actually going to give you that aerobic fitness that you're after. Whereas if you're just wishy-washy with it, you're going to go, oh, I can run 5Ks, go out and run 5Ks, and then you're injured, and then you're not going to be able to run for another 5 days. And then you're going to go, okay, well, I'm going to run 5Ks today because I feel better. And then you're running every time you're not sore. Whereas as we said, the consistency is the number one thing. So if you're able to run, and the way the program works, and we're going to get into that there, is you want to almost, when you're starting out, run 1 day on, 1 day off. So we'll get into this a bit down the line. But the third point is, when you can, and this kind of ties into what we've just been talking about, is outsource if you can. And this is for a few reasons. It takes the guesswork out of what you're training and what you have to do. It means there's no pressure on you to come up with sessions, or you wake up in the morning and go, oh, what have I got to do today? It takes the pressure off you to figure out what running you're doing for the day. And then it also removes the decision making, because sometimes, especially when you're training towards something, you don't have to think about what session or deciding what you want to do for the upcoming week. And then the final point is, it gives you an outside perspective on how you're going, because if you're programming yourself, you can get into a bit of an echo chamber, and I guess that can lead to you just overtraining, getting injured, and then not hitting your race goal. And most of the time when you do that, you'll then go to outsource the program anyway. So why don't you just do that from the start? That's my thoughts on that. I'm not sure if Sean wants to add anything.
Yeah, well, I think as well. You don't necessarily need to get a coach. Like, there's plenty of fantastic programs out there like Nick's, but I think as well, coming soon. One question I do have, and something that I have both observed in others, myself, and seen all over running social media as a meme, is people got significantly I wouldn't say overestimate, running way faster and harder than you should be getting back into running. I think having a program and having structure can really help understand what an easy run should be like, which, as a very quick topic, ties back into things like the deload week where progressing your running is so much of that is about fatigue management. And if you're coming out and getting back into running and blasting a 5K every single time you go out to run, and you're
You do see it
redlining
though.
zone, yeah, you go for an easy run. You say it's an easy run, but you realistically you're redlining in zone 5. I think you're not going to be able to
You click
progress
the
through
hide.
the cardio.
You click the hide heart rate feature on Strava, so no one can
Yeah.
see.
I think that for me, like using the program and having the calculations there for what a pace should be based off of your current fitness level has helped significantly, because you running is not one of those things where you can just progress in a blasé manner. If you want to actually make genuine cardio progress, you have to follow some kind of aerobic structure.
Well, that's the thing. The first 4 weeks of my program, and it's all very nuanced, but the first 4 weeks of the program don't even allocate a pace. It's literally a portion of time on, which is conversational pace running, and you can progress that however you feel. And then a portion of that is walking, because we'll get into it. Look, we'll get into it. So starting out running, you want to build your legs, the tolerance your legs can go through. And to do that, you want to spend more time on your legs. So that's why you alternate between running and walking, because let's say you do a 20-minute run walk, that's 20 minutes of you being on your legs, which accumulated down the line 4 weeks later is going to be you able to run 20 minutes without stopping, should you follow the program and actually do the training. And I guess that's the caveat you have with these programs is you can buy a program and say it's the worst thing ever, but the programs are designed for you to actually do what it says to do. But that's why I guess going back to it is it's very nuanced, because it's nuanced in a sense where you don't want to be giving yourself a pace if you've never run before, because your starting pace might be 8 minutes, whereas your starting pace, Sean, might have been 5 minutes 30 for your conversational pace. But then that's why it's different levels, and that's why we don't allocate paces in the first 4 weeks, really. Well, in the whole 8 weeks, we don't really allocate paces. But I guess we can move on to the fourth point, and this is, I guess, getting into the nitty gritty of actually building the training block. And I've got 5 points here. Is 1, choose a goal race, as Sean said. So you want to choose a goal race, because then you can work back. Let's say your goal race is 3 months away. That gives you 4, 8, 12 weeks to work with. Secondly, you want to ask yourself, how many days do you want to run? Because that's very key on programming. So for me, if you're starting out, you want to be doing either 3 days or 4 days. And for me, that if you do 3 days, it would be Monday rest, Tuesday run, Wednesday rest, Thursday run, Friday rest, Saturday run. How many was that? Tuesday?
That's 3.
3.
Tuesday,
Yeah.
Thursday, Saturday. Yeah.
And then I would make, and I've said here, 3 days, you'd want to make all of those days easy, which is a conversational pace. And then you'd have one run in that week that you increase the distance every week. So what that does, that gives you a long run, because that's a key run in, I guess, any type of training is the long run. But then it also, over time, increases your total distance run over the week. So let's say you do 5 kilometers, that's 15 for the week. If you add 1 kilometer to that last run, over time, your 15 Ks is going to be 20 Ks, your 20 Ks is going to be 25, and so on and so forth. Then if you do 4 days, which I think is like the sweet spot for most people, is you'd have 3 days easy and then one session, which is more of whether that's a tempo session or a threshold or fartlek type session. And that's where you just run a bit quicker than conversational pace. You push yourself and you want to get those anaerobic adaptations, which overall increases your aerobic capacity. The other thing is, if you want to start pushing it a bit further, is you go 5 days, which would be 3 easy, and those 3 easy runs would vary in distance. And then you'd have 2 sessions. So you'd have one maybe threshold, 20-minute threshold, and then you might have another session where it's 400 meters. So you do maybe 12 by 400 meters just to get that different adaptation. And that's if you're doing 5 days. And obviously, like I said, there's a bit of nuance there, but that's like a general gist of what you want to do for 3, 4, or 5 days. What have I got here?
6 days if you are serious.
Well, that's the thing. I guess this podcast is catered towards new people, so we won't go into what I guess I'm doing. Right. I'm doing 6 days a week, and I think you guys have 6 days sometimes during this block.
I think we have 2 6-day weeks.
Yeah.
In like a 20-week program, essentially.
Yeah. So you don't really want to go down the road of running 6 days a week unless you're really trying to push for it and your program permits it, which at this stage and what this, I guess, conversation is about, you don't want to be crossing over there. The other thing is you want to try and implement cross training. I'm guessing most of you people would have been doing some sort of gym. So you're going towards that hybrid athlete. So you want to compensate there. So whether that's removing a gym session, and then including a run session, or making time and working out what works for you. So what I mean by that is not running on or not running after a heavy leg session, or not running when you're sore from a leg session. Just being smart about it.
Which also gives you a chance to recover properly, because when prior to having the baby, I was gymming 4 to 6 times a week and running 5 times a week. And one of my, I guess, injuries, or just I ended up basically having a central nervous system breakdown and had to take a week off because that fatigue on the system was just ridiculous. So if you are looking for a more hybrid approach, you want to make sure that you are giving yourself enough time to rest from everything.
Yeah, that's like, don't look at me. Don't look at what I do, because I worked it out. I have a training age of 15 years, which for someone at 27 is, if you work it out, you can work out what age I started actually training properly. That's rare. So my body's able to adapt quicker to most people. So I'm able to do gym and run most days as a double, but most people wouldn't be able to do that. The other thing is you want to include rest and recovery days in your program when you structure it, whether that's a cross training day where you jump on a bike, or where you go to the gym. Let's say you've got to run the day before, maybe the next day you can go to the gym but do upper body. Just little things like that, just to give your legs a bit of a break, especially when you start out, because that's, I guess, the thing is people want to jump head first and do too much too soon. And as we've alluded to numerous times so far, is that injuries occur that way. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Key things to remember, I've got here 3 little points. Easy days need to be run easy. As Sean said, that's zone 2.
Don't be that. I was going to say, go ahead. Don't be that one person out there sprinting every single run. It will destroy you from a fatigue perspective.
Yeah. And if you don't, I guess you just listen to your body. Don't be stupid, as Sean said. Anyway, Next one, building mileage. Rule of thumb with building mileage, and mileage is just the total number of kilometers you run every week, is increasing it by 10% per week. You do the maths on your current training. Rule of thumb is around 5 to 10% per week. And then the other thing is to increase 1 run per week, the distance you do for that run. Like I said, if you are running 5 kilometers, make one of those runs 6 kilometers the next week, 7 kilometers the week after, and build from there. And the other thing is monitor progress. Use apps like Strava. That's why they're there. They're not there for they're a social. They're for kudos and a social time. But I mainly use it for monitoring improvements on particular runs and overall increases in volume. I guess we're going to talk about data in a future episode, but the data as well you can get from those apps are very beneficial. Yeah. Sean, that was it from me. If you want to add anything to that.
No, I think it's pretty much it. Like I thinking more about it after talking through this, I think it's definitely worth giving a target race or a target distance or a target time in any distance, setting a goal and working towards that, and then being able to work back and get a program towards that. Because I think running, you need that structure in order to have to be more likely to stick it through and get the benefits that running provides you from a life perspective. And one last thing as well is running has, I guess, a bunch of secondary benefits. Like if you're thinking about getting into 5 days of running per week, that's going to force you to start thinking about how your schedule looks like and potentially, start waking up early or changing what you do on the weekends or changing what you do on the evenings, and just in general getting more benefits than cardio in your life. So that's also one thing to consider.
And that's something I've really loved about running is it's a complete lifestyle change. Like Sunday mornings, I've got to be up at the crack of dawn, so I'm not going out to clubs on a Saturday night and getting drunk because I just wouldn't be able to back up like that. Yeah, or eating kebabs, HSPs. Yeah. Anyway, last little plug here. As we've said, I've got my program coming out very, very soon. My beginner to 5Ks in 8 weeks. For all you newbie runners, I'll be chucking the links in my Instagram at GotBigNickEnergy. Sean, do you want to plug yourself, mate, before we close this one out?
Yeah, you can follow me on Insta and TikTok at Into Sean's Mind. And on that beginners program, we are in a few weeks, maybe, depends on when Erica gets the clearance. She's going to be giving the program a go because she wants to be able to run. Yeah, she postnatal. She wants to be able to run 3Ks by the end of the year. I said easily. We'll
She'll be doing it in Noosa. She can sign up to the 5K.
But she's gonna be pretty much potentially documenting, but going through the process of going from absolute beginner to
very nice. Very nice. Sweet.
Anyway,
thank you for listening. This has been a good one. Just us two, you and me, Sean. We'll be back to Will won't be around for the next one. Cam will be back. We'll be back to regular programming very soon. We've got some guests coming up. Follow us, Finish Line Formula on Instagram, TikTok. That's it. Just Instagram and TikTok.
YouTube.
Don't forget
YouTube,
subscribe. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. I think we're still at 5 stars. We've got no haters yet. Yeah, that's because we're not big enough, but yeah. Maybe I'll go and give the podcast 1 star. But thanks for listening today. It's been a pleasure. Sean, let's finish this off. You finish this one off, mate. I'll give you the honors.
Thank you very much. We will see you next week.
Peace.